To answer that question, I think we need to really just go back to understand and explain the mandate of NDTC. The Namibia Diamond Trading Company is a joint venture between the government of the Republic of Namibia and De Beers, and as you rightfully put it, was established about 15 years ago. And really the mandate of NDTC is to sort, value and sell all of the diamond production from Namdeb Holdings, which is essentially made up of Namdeb, who mines the diamonds onshore, and Debmarine Namibia, who then, which is the company that is tasked or mandated with mining diamonds offshore or on the ocean. So essentially what happens is when those diamonds come to NDTC, we've got about 80, 86, 87 employees that are tasked with ensuring that we put a fair market value on those rough diamonds. And obviously we do this through a combination of skills as well as technology or bespoke technology that is developed by De Beers and employed in-house to ensure that we put a fair market value, and by that ensure that obviously not just Namdeb Holding gets the fair price for the diamonds, but also by doing that with that value that we determine, it then allows for the correct amount of taxes, the correct amount of royalties to be paid over to government. So I think it's a really important function that we undertake at the NDTC, and I'm very, very proud to say that over the last 15 years since the establishment of NDTC, we have done and achieved that with distinction. We have been able to on a regular basis meet the various timelines and deadlines that have been set in terms of ensuring that we take the shipments and put value on it and go through the various processes and ensure that once we've done that, we are then able to sell those diamonds in terms of the agreement between government and De Beers. So I think we've been able to do that quite extensively, quite successfully in that sense. What is also important to highlight is that in addition to the mandate to sort and value and sell those diamonds, we are also mandated to facilitate what is called downstream diamond beneficiation, and this is really geared towards ensuring that a portion of Namibia's diamond production actually goes towards value addition activities essentially in the cutting and polishing industry. So for the last 15 years or so, we've established what is called beneficiation sales in Namibia. We essentially have created an opportunity or facilitated an opportunity for cutting and polishing companies to establish operations in Namibia, and by doing so obviously create employment opportunities for Namibians first and foremost, but also at the same time ensure that skills transfer takes place in the discipline of cutting and polishing, and that there's appropriate investment in terms of technology and infrastructure, which obviously from a foreign direct investment perspective is a positive development. And by doing what we are doing on a day-to-day basis, we've been able to help create a resilient and a sustainable cutting and polishing industry in Namibia. And obviously as we look at the next 15 years, we're thinking about what are the opportunities that then unlocks, and what are those opportunities that we as a country can also exploit in terms of further downstream beneficiation activities. So I think if one looks at it in terms of what our mandate is and what we've been tasked to do, I can only say that I'm tremendously proud of the men and women at NDTC that diligently on a day-to-day basis comes and ensure that we create value we fully understand what the value of Namibian diamonds are, and that those are distributed in accordance with the agreement of the shareholders, and that through that distribution we are then able to create additional value for the country. So I think it's something that we take very, very seriously. It's something that we are proud of, and it's something that we do with enthusiasm and dedication on a day-to-day basis to ensure that we ensure that we make our contribution in terms of the country getting its full benefits from its diamond resources. So that's I would say we've been fairly successful in terms of executing our mandate to date. Now, very good question, and I think if in order to answer that question, one really needs to reflect on what diamonds have meant for Namibia over the years. As a country, we discovered diamonds in 1908 for the first time in the south of the country. Coupled with that is the fact that we've been recovering those diamonds for that period of time, and obviously it has over those years it has added to state coffers in terms of developing the infrastructure that we see today. I think in recent years one can only really reflect on the tremendously successful partnership between the government of the Republic of Namibia and De Beers, particularly in terms of that partnership initially starting with the creation of NAMDAB in 1994, and then obviously subsequently the creation of Debmarine Namibia, and then recently the creation of most recently the creation of NDTC as a joint venture. I think if you look at those three entities in terms of paying taxes to government, significantly combining by far the biggest contributors to state coffers in terms of taxes. And when you look at obviously the fact that government is a equal shareholder in its entities, you also have dividends that then flow into state coffers from that particular arrangement. In addition to that, if one considers the fact that over the years these entities have also played a significant role in terms of human capital development, in terms of creating opportunities for Namibians to be trained both locally and as abroad, to be able to study, have bursaries to be able to study, and then come back and apply those skills back and knowledge back into the country. I think there's been a tremendous amount of work that has gone into that. Obviously, every dollar that ends up in state coffers is then used to either build or maintain infrastructure across the country. So, as an ordinary Namibian, being able to access health facilities, being able to access schools, using the vast network of road infrastructure that we've got, that I think we all agree is well maintained, allows us then to have access to the benefits that have been created by the diamond industry over the years. Obviously, in recent years, as I mentioned, we've obviously also seen additional activities taking place from a value addition standpoint, and I think that speaks to the national agenda around creating jobs. So now you've got young Namibians that are being trained in the art of cutting and polishing. We are constantly looking at opportunities in terms of how do we create opportunities, particularly opportunities for Namibians, young Namibians, to be trained in things like jewelry design and manufacturing. So again, it's activities that these entities undertake. However, those activities actually create the platform for Namibians to take advantage of the opportunities that have been created. So there's been tremendous, I think, positive impact that diamonds have made, not just from a monetary perspective in terms of what ends up in our state coffers, but also from a social impact standpoint. If one looks at also the corporate social responsibility that has been undertaken by not just the three entities that I mentioned, but the diamond industry as a whole, across a number of fields, whether that be education, health, sports. I think it's important, and as well as arts as well. So I think it's important that one understands that it might not be, directly dollars into every Namibian's pocket, but I think the excellent infrastructure that we see across the country certainly the diamond industry has played a significant role in terms of ensuring that we enjoy those benefits. I mean, just from a figures perspective, the mining industry as a whole contributes about 10 to 12% annually to the country's GDP, of which anything between 7 to 8% of that comes from the diamond industry. So a significant player in terms of the country's economy, and obviously the benefits that derives for every Namibian on the ground. So one can only be proud to be associated with the diamond industry in terms of what those benefits are for Namibia. One needs to obviously recognize that the last 2 years have been tremendously positive for the diamond industry, not just globally but also from a Namibian perspective. What we have certainly seen is a number of factors that have contributed to this. One, the fact that we haven't seen a significant amount of rough diamond supply come into the market. Secondly, we've seen a tremendously robust consumer demand market from a diamond jewelry perspective, particularly in some of the markets like the big markets like the US, China and India. The US alone accounts for over 50% of global diamond jewelry demand, and with what we've seen in the US market from a retail perspective, that obviously has translated in quite strong demand for rough diamonds globally, and we've certainly seen that play itself out in Namibia as well. We've also seen significant growth or a sustained growth in terms of rough prices. So as a diamond producing country, obviously on the one hand there's the strong demand from our customers in terms of buying diamonds, rough diamonds, but at the same time, because of those strong fundamentals, we have seen rough diamond prices actually increase as well. So what that means is that it obviously results in additional revenue for Namdeb Holdings, in a sense that the carats that we are able to produce in Namibia would have been sold at a higher price, and what that then does is that improves the ability of Namdeb Holdings to be able to actually pay higher taxes and realize higher dividends for government. So again, it ties in with what we were talking about earlier with regards to how does the country benefit from that standpoint. In short, the stronger rough prices that we've seen over the last 2 years or so has certainly benefited us as a rough diamond producing country, in a sense that we've been able to realize higher revenues from our diamond resource, even though from a supply perspective, the amount of carats that we've recovered from our mining operations have not increased because of the strong rough diamond prices. We've seen an increase in the revenue that has come through because of that, and obviously, as I said, that then results in higher taxes being paid and better dividends being realized from a shareholder perspective. So it's been fairly positive the last 2 years for the diamond industry in Namibia. Lab-grown diamonds is obviously an interesting dynamic and an interesting conversation, particularly when one takes into consideration that Namibia's reliance, as we discussed, on natural diamonds. We are a natural diamond producing country, in a sense that our diamonds come from deep in the earth, and over the years, obviously, it's been deposited either along the Orange River or in the ocean, and that's where we recover our diamonds from. So in a sense, that's why we term it as natural diamonds. Lab-grown diamonds, obviously, as the name says, it's not natural diamonds. It's actually created in a man-made environment, if I can put it that way. And I think it's important for us really to acknowledge that, in our view, lab-grown diamonds has its own space. I think what we need to understand is how do consumers relate to these two products. I think our research shows that obviously consumers would still like to prefer to buy natural diamonds for those big occasions, whether that be a wedding, the birth of a child, anniversaries and that sort of thing. So natural diamonds, and from a global consumer perspective, is still perceived to be for those big occasions, those special occasions. And I think when one looks at obviously also how the consumer's buying behavior is changing, we also need to think about how we position natural diamonds with the final consumer. If I take Namibia as an example, there's so much positive that has come from natural diamonds and will continue to come from natural diamonds. And I think it's about our ability to actually tell our story from a Namibian perspective in terms of the impact, the positive impact that diamonds have on the country, not just on its people, but also on the planet itself. What are some of those things that we are doing to create, to recover those diamonds sustainably, and in a way that supports the planet, but at the same time also it supports the communities that we operate in. I think when one looks at Namibia from a diamond industry perspective, we've got so many personal stories that we can tell in terms of the positive impact that diamonds have made. I'm certainly one of those, because this is the one industry that I know, and that I've operated in for so many years, and it has certainly made a significant and positive impact in my life. And there are many other stories like that, and will continue to be. So I think our concern is not so much about lab-grown diamonds, but it's more about how do we position natural diamonds, how do we keep natural diamonds front of mind for the final consumer, so that we can continue to create opportunities for people to celebrate those big occasions with natural diamonds. So yeah, I mean, and I think the view is, look, both natural diamonds and lab-grown diamonds will coexist. They have to coexist. I think the important thing is for us to ensure that the consumer understand where each one is coming from, and that the consumer has that choice to either choose between a natural diamond or a lab-grown diamond for whatever occasion it is. But I think the important thing is for us to understand that, look, it's not about being in competition, it's about ensuring that we tell our story in such a way that when the consumer comes in there, he's able then to choose natural diamonds for those special occasions as mentioned. So yeah, I mean that's my take on the lab-grown diamond versus natural diamond debate.